John Jones, as he's
Who?
wanted to do.
Oh,
Oh,
it's been a while, you
oh
know?
wow,
Like,
Dominic.
we ain't
Was that the
heard from
first
him too
time
much.
that Dominic kind of got a little spicy on a fighter?
I've been so used to hearing from John after like every card, but we ain't heard from him lately. But then UFC 270 happened, and here he
Yep.
is.
Yep, he has been tweeting a lot and most recently took an interesting direction.
Yes, he did.
He basically tweeted and called out the heavyweight goat Stipe Miocic, who we have not seen since UFC 260, where he
Yes.
lost his belt. So Dominic, I'm wondering here. Francis Ngannou going to be out for a while, going to have knee surgery. There's already the added element, contract negotiations.
Yep.
Do we see John Jones versus Stipe for an interim heavyweight belt or just in general?
We will see John Jones versus Stipe Miocic in July for International Fight Week for the interim heavyweight championship of the world. Yes, this fight is going to happen. It's a massive fight. It's you've got the former heavyweight champion in Stipe, the heavyweight goat. John Jones even said, "Who wants to see the heavyweight goat versus the light heavyweight goat?" There's so much that you could ride into this, and then it's John Jones's debut at heavyweight that people have been waiting on for so long. It's a big fight. It's the return fight of John after what will be more than likely 2.5 years. That's just my prediction, by the way, in July. It could be later than that. So, yes, it's going to happen. We're going to see it. It's going to be for interim belt. Winner fights Francis. That's all I can say. It will happen. I'll be shocked. I'll be more shocked if it doesn't happen.
At this
So,
point, yeah. And who would have? I mean, really, I never would have. It seemed like such a out of the box concept not too long ago for John Jones to make his debut against Stipe. Like it just seemed
yeah.
like it wouldn't happen. I
Yeah.
remember we talked about this very idea in like August, and it
Yeah.
just seemed like not going to happen. He's fighting
Mm-hmm.
for the belt, but you know, Ngannou contract stuff, Ngannou knee injury, all of a sudden an interim champion's going to be introduced. Now, are you as big of a fight as this is? Considering how we're going to get to this point potentially, where the UFC is clearly trying to bring in another interim champion to potentially, I don't know. It doesn't feel all genuine. I mean,
Yeah.
Ngannou might be out for. I mean, I don't know how long he's going to be out after his surgery, but I assume most of the year at least.
Yeah.
So we are not typically proponents of the interim title. So do you think with everything going on it's earned, or do you feel like is it kind of take away from the excitement when you know that there's perhaps some politics that are being at play to make it happen?
This one, again, this is all hearsay right now because it's not confirmed. We're acting like it is, but we just feel like it will happen. So this one will be more right. I think is like the only way to put it. Being that you can justify, hey, Francis is out for 9 months on the sidelines with surgery, and that is, at least in our case, usually where we're okay with an interim belt coming in. But you look at the one that Cyril Gahn got, negative.
Speak for yourself.
Fair enough. But the one that Cyril Gahn got was god awful. We hated
Yeah.
everything about that. So, when there's an injury, when your champion's on the sideline for 9 months, I understand putting an interim belt on the line. It's going to make the fight better because you can promote that there's a championship on the line. And this fight's already massive, don't get me wrong, without a belt. But you're not going to headline a pay-per-view with John Jones versus Stipe with nothing on the line either. So.
Yeah, realistically, you're right. I mean, that's why. I mean, that's not why exactly, but if you do this fight, there should be gold on the line.
Yeah. And either way, like, an interim belt at the end of the day is a number one contender spot.
Yeah, that's why I don't like it though. Like, I get it that's like maybe I just shouldn't be that bothered by it, but you know how I feel, Dominic. That's why I said speak for because I'm like probably the least interim belt guy there is.
Yeah.
Like, of course, I hated the one that got introduced for Gon Lewis, but I don't like him like at all. I said the only way is like you have a long-standing champion who, I was talking about Anderson Silva in his prime, GSP in his prime. They go down with like an ACL tear out for a year. then you do it. Here, I mean, you're kind of hitting that spot where, again, I understand the behind-the-scenes stuff pretty much makes it likely that we won't see Ngannou until the beginning of next year at least. So because of that, I understand introducing it. But it does kind of take away a little bit from it, in my opinion, when you know that perhaps the whole reason it's being introduced is less because Ngannou is injured and more because they want to play politics and say they're like trying to almost get him to take less money, perhaps, because it's like, well, we have another heavyweight champion now. It's John Jones or it's Stipe. Like, we don't need you kind of thing.
Yeah, and also, by the way, too, have we ever seen where an undisputed champion during their reign has had multiple interim championships? Because Habib rings the bell off the top of my head.
Yep.
Dustin became interim champ. Justin became interim champ. But, like, outside of that, to have more than one interim during the span of someone's undisputed reign is quite unprecedented.
The GSP have more than, or actually, no, who did have two? Brock Lesnar in his reign.
Did he really?
Frank Mir was an interim champion, and Shane Carwin, I believe.
And Brock's reign wasn't even that long. That's what's. And something about the heavyweights, I guess.
It's kind of lining up with where Ngannou is at this point.
Yeah.
I mean, but I'm pretty sure Lesnar had two. And then it was the weird thing. Lesnar kind of had more than that because, if I remember right, because Randy Couture is who he beat for the belt, and Randy Couture was also involved in a lot of contract disputes with the UFC. They had brought in an interim belt when Randy was still champion, and I believe Big Nog Nogueira won it from against Tim Sylvia. And then I think they had him defend it.
Defend an interim?
Yes.
Damn.
And I can't remember if he lost it to Mir, and that's how Mir got an interim title. So it was like Brock beat Randy for the undisputed title, but they also, like the month before that, had Mir fight Nogueira for the interim heavyweight title. So like Mir still had an interim title when you had an undisputed champion.
Yeah.
I might be off on some of those details, but it's almost so messy that it feels like it's true because you got someone like Brock Lesnar involved.
Yeah, that's also very true. And then here we are in 2022, 13 years later, and we're in the same boat.
But again, it's a big fight. Like it's one of the biggest fights you can do. So I'm not gonna pretend like I'm not gonna be excited for it. We're fans at the end of the day.
Yes.
We would love nothing more to drown out everything on the outside and just focus on what happens in the cage. And we try to.
Yeah, and that fight in itself is.
I think we do a better job at that than a lot of people.
Yeah.
But it's just hard because Ngannou is a guy that I feel like has earned our support.
Right.
It's hard to not feel for him a little bit here, but.
And you do have to, and it just makes me wonder. I can't help sitting here during this discussion and think, okay, had Francis won that fight the same way against Cyril Gane back in January, but there was no knee injury, what would we do? Do you think we would just see Francis and John, or do you think there would still be some? I mean, because obviously the contract talks are still there, regardless of a knee injury.
So apparently, what I think, and this might change from what I said post 270, because at that time. Like, we kind of knew Ngannou had a knee injury, but we didn't know how long he was going to be out for, I don't think.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure I said I thought by the fall they would work it out. But based off the contract, he's under contract until basically January 2023.
Yeah. Whether
he defends again or not. So I think you won't see him again until at least then.
Yeah.
Because I think he's going to use that to try to be like, well, now I'm a free man. I'm a free agent.
Yeah.
And then that's going to, test his market value, see what he can get. UFC is going to have to try to, compete against other entities to retain his services. So because of that, it's almost like injury or no injury, you almost have to do this interim belt, I guess. I don't know. It's going to get very interesting. I still believe that by the end of all this messiness and politics, I still believe Ngannou will stay with the UFC and will remain the heavyweight champion. It just sucks that, it sucks to sit here in February, the first week of February, and know that we're probably not going to have a clear direction on this heavyweight division until like at least this
Another
time
year.
next year.
Yeah, it sucks.